firms, I've divided it into 9. This is a 9-box matrix, but it's put slightly on its side to turn it into a diamond. So it looks different. Now at the top we've got, if you like, the magic circle, the market rulers. Now they're the ones who are doing, in terms of segmentation, they're operating at tier 1, you know, the real heavyweight work. And in terms of competitive capability and performance, they're premium pricing, they're seen as having unique selling points, they're the leaders. Next layer down, I put challengers and designer labels, and they're slightly different. Challengers are, if you like, the firms that are the strong number 2s. They're not in the magic circle wherever you may be. Because you can look at this thing from the point of view of the UK, or the south of England, or your town, or global. You know, you can look at, and therefore a firm might fall into this chart in different places depending on whether you're on different geographies. So a challenger firm, maybe globally, might be DLA, you know, who have sort of grown strongly over the years and are really pushing to enter the top tier. And the reason I quite like putting this as a diamond is that at the top of the diamond, the challenger firms are operating roughly at the middle of the market rulers. So a challenger firm isn't necessarily completely subsidiary to a market ruler, it's slightly alongside it in certain areas. It's doing some mainly tier 2 work, but you know, its tip is doing some tier 1 work, and it's got some strong competitive capabilities and some strong pricing and performance. The designer label firm is a compendium. If you've read Steve Mason's latest book, he has a description of he has a distinction between niche firms and portfolio firms, and I've linked them together into designer labels. And a designer label firm is not a full service firm. A designer label firm is a firm that has a degree of speciality. Maybe it's a niche firm, maybe it's a firm with a limited portfolio of work, but has become known and famous for being Clyde & Co and Shipley, or whatever it may be. And therefore, in a sector or segment, it is operating at the top level. It's operating alongside the market rulers in that particular sector that it's famous for. But obviously not in the area, not in all areas. And I've called it designer labels because I wanted to get this sort of boutique. I didn't want to call it boutique. I wanted to get this sort of reference to the fact that the brand of the firm becomes, oh well, they're well known for X, Y, or Z. So that's designer labels. Next layer down, let me deal with local heroes first. And again, if you look at it from a national point of view, what I'm thinking of is firms like Burgess Salmon in Bristol, Rags in Birmingham, you know, firms like that who are in their particular geography very strong. If you look at, say, I've done a lot of work in Sweden, and if you look at Europe, there are 2 firms in Sweden that if you look just at Sweden, they're market rulers. There's a firm called Mannheimer Schwartz, and there's a firm called Dinger. You come across either of them. They're the 2 market rulers in Sweden. In European context, they're local heroes. They're the known firms in that particular geography, namely Sweden, for the work that they do. So a local hero has a lot of the attributes of market rulers, but they're not necessarily doing the tier 1 work. They're doing more of the lesser, the really good work, some really strong corporate stuff, and commercial stuff, and big litigations, but they're not necessarily operating at quite the level of the market rulers. The endowment firms over here are firms that have a history and are reliant upon their tradition for their power. They have established clients. They have some maybe older partners who are famous, but they've slipped a bit. They're firms, if you like, that are in danger of waning. They used to be more powerful than they are now. They're relying extensively on what they've inherited from previous generations of lawyers for their present. So they're not operating at the same level as market rulers or challengers or designer labels. They're very much in the middle of the thing, but they might slip. The bulk suppliers are hopefully pretty obvious by their name. They're not operating at the top tier work, but they're getting their name through branding, through volume. These are the ones that maybe Tesco will be in here, maybe Irwin Mitchell, firms like that are actually going for big volumes of work, and the power of branding and so on is getting them through. Then you've got three lesser layers where I'm afraid I see a lot of law firms occupying at the moment. Now, agglomerations, I've called it an agglomeration because I wanted to get over the sense of, or the concept of two, if you like, mid-sized firms amalgamating. And what you then get is a big mid-sized firm. The old expression that you don't make a tiger through inflating a cat operates. You know, because you put two mid-sized firms together doesn't make you any more, doesn't move you up the competitive positioning table. It just puts you into what I call an agglomeration packet. Now, it might be a good stepping stone. You know, you might get, I'll describe utility players in a moment, you might get two utility player firms merging and they go there, but it's a good stepping stone to going to local hero status. So I'm not discarding that, I'm not saying it's a bad place to be, but it's not a good place to be permanently, because what you get is a firm that is all things to all men, is just a mess. Different offices, different services and so on. Utility players seeks to describe firms that are very solid performers across a wide area of work. Good, all things to all men, good eggs, but not necessarily, like a utility player in a football team, not necessarily famous for anything. You know, they will play in many positions, and they will occupy most positions pretty well, but they're not really got cutting edge in any of them. And the challenge for utility players is, how do we get ourselves, how do we position ourselves better? How do we move from there into being, say, a local hero? And it may be specialisation, it may be amalgamation that will take you that route, it may be external funding coming in to help you acquire key individuals to help you go up there. Then down here we've got the minor league players. These are the also-rans in any market. Those who are going to lose out in the future because they're actually really on the peripheries of everything. So that's my sort of positioning thing. Now it's only a tool, and it's a tool for this reason. I'm working with an employment department of one firm, which is, by their own admission, in this space. This is a department that says, well, yeah, we're good at most things. We can do most things in employment law. We're known by our clients as being a safe pair of hands for the sort of work we do. But, you know, none of us is known, you know, as an individual at a very high level. The department is not, you know, it's a tier 2, tier 3, whatever, in chambers and so on. We're doing okay. But what we'd really like to do is to position ourselves as a designer label department, where we become known over time as the go-to department for employment law in whatever area we are. Where the chief executive who's got employment problems that's keeping them awake at night will come to, where the really difficult employment issues, really difficult litigious battles, they'll come to us, and we will need to position ourselves better. And what are our current resources and capabilities, and how can we move those so that we become designer labels? So we're doing a repositioning exercise with that firm or that department to work out how they can change over time.